Welcome back to part 2 of my review for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla's Kurt Russellmania, where I'm up to this, I think I'm in the second last match now. We have Paul London and Brian Kendrick against the Young Bucks, aka Generation Me. They started with a brawl and then it just becomes a pretty good tag match. At one point, Excalibur compares Brian Kendrick to Brian Pillman. I'm not sure how I feel about that though. I like Brian Kendrick just fine, but I don't know, Pillman was an innovator and Kendrick, he's good, but he's not Brian Pillman. That's just all I gotta think about that. At this point, the fans have turned on the Young Bucks, so using their TNA gimmick while on Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, that just solidifies their heel turn. They're being shit on, but that's what they should be. I mean, they just turned heel. At one point, they even referenced TNA and attempt using the Nasty Boys' Pity City, but Kendrick reverses that and ends up being Nick Jackson, I think, rubbed into Matt Jackson's armpit. Maybe the other way around. I actually can't remember which Young Buck is which half the time. Just like the Hardys when in their early days. I couldn't remember them either. Now I remember which one's the fat one, which one's the one going to jail. The times they let London in the ring, though, it's kind of cringeworthy. The guy's kind of sloppy now. I think ever since he'd been released from WWE, he's acting like he's got something to prove. He's trying to do like special flippy moves that he wasn't allowed to do while he was in the WWE. And to be honest, watching him do them, or attempt to do them, I can see why they put a stop to it in the first place. Kendrick's pretty good though, so it's still a good match. They actually end with a good sequence where they're going for more bang for your buck. You know, that's the move where one of the Young Bucks will have the guy up in a fireman's carry and do a Finley roll, and the other guy will do a 450, then a moonsault. Well, this time Paul Lynn puts up his knees to block the 450. The other one attempts the moonsault, which leads to Spanky doing a slice spread number 2, and then Paul London hitting a shooting star press to get the win. It worked. I mean, it was non-title, so the Young Bucks remain the champs, though. So now the main event. Luckily for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, they never show the entrances on their DVDs because for copyright reasons, and thank God they do that here, because now we don't have to hear Rob Van Dam's god-awful theme music. Any of you TNA fans will know what I'm talking about. This theme music is bad. I don't like this theme music at all. It's just, anybody who watches TNA will know what I mean, but it's, if you gotta pick worst theme music, it's up there for me. The fans in attendance, so they got to hear a live version. Lucky them. So, it's very apparent that this is Rob Van Dam's first match in a while, because maybe that's why they made it a triple threat match. He's in there with Chris Hero and Roderick Strong, two of the indie scene's best wrestlers. And of course, Rob Van Dam, he spends more time posing, you know, Rob Van Dam, even though he should be wrestling and stalling outside of the ring. I like Rob Van Dam, but compared to the efforts that Muda and Liger put out tonight, he's just not into it. Like, it's very apparent that he hasn't wrestled in a while. What's also funny about this, as I mentioned before, this is night 2 of Wrestle Reunion. Night 1 was hosted by Ring of Honor, who had Jerry Lynn wrestle the night before. So we technically have Jerry Lynn and Rob Van Dam at the same event, and nobody thinks to capitalize on that and let them wrestle? How many extra DVD buys would that have been if you had Pro Wrestling Guerrilla presents Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn for the first time in like almost a decade? I mean, I bought the DVD anyway, but that would have, a lot of people would have been interested in that, I think. I mean, maybe there's some reason I've never heard, but I don't know why they wouldn't do that. I mean, the match is very good. It's Chris Hero and Roderick handling most of the effort. For the most part, Rob Van Dam just comes in for a bit, then he'll get knocked to the outside, then Hero and Strong will do most of the wrestling. I mean, they're pretty good. It's a decent match. RVD wins with the frog splash on Roderick, of course, despite being outside for most of the ring. Like, even the end sequence, Hero and Roderick are wrestling. They're pretty good. You're into that. All of a sudden, RVD springs in, hits Chris Hero with a spin kick, or with a jumping kick, and then hits a frog splash on Roderick to pick up the win. All the same, though, I gotta say it's in the middle for this. I mean, RVD's always a treat to watch anyway, because he is pretty exciting, but somewhere he got to the point where he just doesn't seem to care anymore. Like, this even carried over into TNA now, where he's just there, that's it. So overall, that was the main event. It was a great show all around. I mean, if somebody's saying, I want to get into Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, what event should I start with? This is probably one of the ones I would mention. I mean, you can order it on highspots.com or on prowrestlingguerrilla.com. Below, I'm going to provide the links just to say I did something nice for those guys. Anybody, I really like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, so they would be good to check out. They have a lot of good events, a lot of good talent there, a lot of Ring of Honor guys. They're not too serious either. That's what I like about them. And so as for this is Brave Sir Robin. I'm signing off now. As usual, feedback is always very appreciated. It's only my second review. I've actually been fighting off a cold for a few weeks, so that's why my voice may sound a bit off, but hopefully you'll enjoy, and I'll be back with number 3 somewhere down the road. Thank you, and goodbye.